The Lunaverse, episode 27 by Rainbow Double Dash, Crisis on Two Equestrias, chapter 11, That Old Black Magic. It was the strangest thing in the world, two worlds really, for Luna to watch somebody else raise the moon and stars and bring on the night. Luna's native to this world counterpart seemed to be making a particular show of the night this evening, probably to reassure herself that she still had control over the night, after it being wrestled from her earlier today. In truth, Luna hadn't even noticed any resistance, though Cece imagined that this had more to do with her acting while the native Luna had been sleeping, rather than due to any discrepancy in power between the two of them caused by her imprisonment on the moon. After all, beings as old as Luna and her counterpart, 1,000 years either way, weren't going to make much difference. The moon was first to rise. It seemed to almost creep slowly and timidly over the horizon in the east, as though unsure it would be welcome. The stars followed thereafter, organized into constellations all ray as they moved ahead of the moon, falling into place quickly as they prepared the night sky ahead for the path of the moon. Eventually, night settled fully over Equestria, and as there was a lack of any signs of rioting or panic in surrounding land, Luna supposed that its impromptu early arrival and then retreat was, by and large, being written off by the population of the land as only a hiccup in the schedule, and not a return of Nightmare Moon. "Beautiful as always, Luna," Celestia complimented. Despite her foul mood, the native Luna did react just slightly to the compliment, the faint twitch of a smile appearing on her lips. The three of them remained in front of Discord's statue, although their picnic had turned more into an outdoor court at Dusty's Feather's insistence. Lavish sitting cushions, lanterns, and even several fires for warmth had been set up. In deference to the rulers of the land, Celestia and her sister sat side by side, while Luna sat slightly apart to Celestia's left. The native Luna settled back down to her cushions, Celestia having, at length, convinced her it was more important to remain before Discord's statue could be should he intend to break free. There was the whole court tonight. To her credit, the native Luna had not put up much resistance to that point, only making her displeasure at Luna's continued presence clear. She was right, Luna thought as she stared at her host. I shouldn't have come here. Or, I should have disguised myself, pretending to be somebody else. Celine would have had a nice ring to it. "Princess Luna," Celestia asked, "I wonder if I might ask a question?" Luna blinked a few times, breaking herself from her reverie. She looked at the diarch. "Yes," Celestia considered, pressing her host together. "Our two worlds must have had relatively divergent histories," she said, "but I imagine there are several constants. I was just wondering, around 100 years ago, there was a hurricane in the southern reaches, a very powerful one. Was there one for you as well?" Luna thought. "Yes," she said at length, frowning at Celestia. "Why?" Celestia circled one hoof on the ground. "I admit to being curious if you dealt with the situation differently than I. I authorized the Sub-Ministry of South Central Weather to send virtually every weather Pegasus in its region to combat the hurricane before it reached the coast. They succeeded, but the cost was high. Higher than I would have liked, in any event. We were not prepared to manage a crisis of that magnitude, it turned out." Luna blinked. "Sub-Ministry of South Central Weather?" she asked. "How many Southern Weather Ministries do you need?" Celestia's sister did something unexpected. She rolled her eyes. Celestia pretended not to notice. "4," she responded. "But, if you please—" "4," Luna thought, trying to think of good reason for the number of southern ministries, even as she responded. "I deemed the hurricane too strong to fight," she said. "I issued a royal mandate to evacuate the affected regions. My own weather ministry serves as a picket force for only to cover the refugees." She frowned deeply, however. "The evacuation was successful, but the damage. Southern Equestria is still one of the poorer regions as a result, with a lower quality of life than the rest of the country. The damage in nearby Calabara was great. Even more so, the King of Sparta did not take my advice to issue a similar proclamation there. I wonder if I should have combated the hurricane." Celestia offered a sad smile. "I've wondered the reverse." She nodded. "How's the happier pony comparison? How are pony griffin relations in your world?" Luna returned a smile. "At the high point," she noted, "the kingdoms seem to go through cycles. Right now they're in the stable confederation phase. The last one landed for 2 centuries. I'm hoping the last one for 3. That is, of course, up to them." Kingdoms? Celestia asked. Not empire. No, it could all sorts of Yuri stuff without an heir. It did here as well, but reformed later under Savokok. Luna's eyes went wide. Savokok, she hissed, shaking her head. That was a name she had a long time without hearing. Well, like to go longer. I remember him. He did try to reform the Griffin Empire. Whether or not each of the individual kingdoms wanted to join him, I had signed a mutual defense treaties with some of them, but he thought I wouldn't want to go to war over them. She shook her head again. He was mistaken. He surrendered after only 2 years, very quickly by the standards of time. Celestia considered. I had no such treaties, she noted. I tried not to become involved in the affairs of other nations. Savelplug's ambitions began and ended with the Empire. Once he had it under his dominion, he proved there would be a reasonably peaceful Griffin. The native Luna wiki in annoyance. Luckily, she noted, you weren't as lucky with Isidore, even though the whole mess could have been prevented. Celestia let out a slight sigh. My sister feels like I do not meddle in international politics as much as I should. Luna's senses munched. She did not, however, want to potentially fan the flames between the two sisters' debates. Least of all, she suspected strongly that she and her native counterpart would come on the same side of things, and the 2 against 1 would not be fair. Even as the other Luna opened her mouth to suggest, Princess Luna jumped in. What about fashion? She asked. Silence greeted her for a few moments. Fashion? Celestia asked. Yes, Luna said, smiling a little. Did this world go through a phase where every pony insisted on wearing ridiculously huge wigs? Celestia's lips pressed together tightly. While her sister did completely unexpected, she burst out laughing and put her hose to her mouth, trying to cover it. Celestia sifted. Yes, the princess of the day said. There was such a phase. The native Luna closed her eyes, horn glowing even as she continued to laugh. With a pop, a picture appeared before Princess Luna. It was a period painting, several hundred years old, depicting Celestia sitting in her golden throne, dressed in deep red gold fineries, thick and luxurious looking. The idea at the time, at least in Luna's world, had been that the taller, more ornate the wig, the more important the pony. And further, it had to be at least as tall as the horn on the unicorn who wore it. Princess Celestia was the most important pony in the land, and needed the largest, most ornate wig in all the land. It was done in a pastel rainbow of patterns, tightly braided lightly, but with several looks that let it hang loose, and a golden thread of white diamonds and flowers woven throughout. It was also, from the looks of things, at least 4 feet tall, maybe 5. Luna sputtered, trying to keep her laugh in. It didn't take her long to fail, flickering with delight at the picture of Celestia, the undimmed day star, done up like a foal with access to 2 months of her mother's makeup. I glanced at Celestia, showed her to be blushing a deep scarlet, but only made Luna laugh higher. I took 10 notes! The native Luna exclaimed between bits of laughter. 10! It's just in the book I found. Who sits there for that long? What's the point? It's not as though I wore it around the castle. Celestia defended herself as she sat there comfortably. It was just for the official portrait, which should be hanging in the Royal Museum. I was grieving for my exile when I found this, Luna said, as the portrait disappeared to back where it came from. At least I skipped the worst kinds of falsehood over the past 1,000 years. Luna got her own laughs under control, with her declining mirth and increased concern for Celestia's embarrassment. But she had a cure for that. I never took to wigs for myself, Luna said, as her horn glowing. But there was, well, I'll show you. There's fair. And I did wear this around the castle. About 400 years ago, Nick frills had been all the rage about the night court. For whatever reason, the nobility decided that making oneself look like they were choking on a dinner plate was fashionable. Luna's own neck frill had been a deep blue, rather than white as was the style, and star-studded. Like the wigs, authority had been defied for the size of the frill. Oh god, no. Celestia burst out laughing at the sight, though the native Luna tempered her own anger, probably due to the serious similarity of appearance between her and the interloping princess. How did you get through doors? Celestia asked, and Luna spread her wings for comparison. The thrill was about the half of her wingspan, nearly as wide as Celestia's wing had been tall. Very carefully, Luna said, as she stood, spinning around to show it off. The veil was just part of the full dress, of course. There was the train, the corset, the saddle. Luna trailed off when she saw, from the castle, a rest of golden armor royal cards. mix of Pegasi unicorns, each galloping as fast as their host could carry them. The Royal Guard had been briefed on the basics of the situation. There were 2 Lunas, but it wasn't a problem. It was a situation to hopefully resolve itself soon. But Luna would have expected them to at least start at the sight of being 2 princesses of the night, especially given the thrill of one of them was wearing. They didn't even slow down, however, instead rushing straight for Celestia, each of them remembering only to the last moment to bow. Majesties! The leader of the group called. Princess! Your Majesty! Everfree! Huge! Celestia blinked a few times at the panic from the guards. She held up a hoof quickly. Calm down, please. She insisted, as Luna dispelled the frills he had been wearing, while Celestia's sister stepped forward. Please, take a moment. Deep breaths. No time! One of the other guards said, eyes wide with panic, stepping forward, forgetting protocol. Majesty, and the Everfree! There's a bear! Our last Earthside census suggests there are actually several thousand bears in Everfree. Celestia nodded wryly. Not like this one, the late guard said, finally collecting himself as he pushed his overeager underling behind him. Majesty, we can see it from Canterlot! Celestia blinked and looked at her sister. The native Luna came forward, wings fluttering in agitation. That is impossible, she said. Only a star beast could possibly reach that size. While there is one in Everfree, it is not that large and will be hibernating with her cub for some centuries. With respect, Majesty, the guard said, bowing slightly. She's awake. She must have gone through a ghost spurt. The interloping Luna's mind, meanwhile, was cast backwards, to the dawn of the world. Our world, at least, and most likely this one as well. Star beasts were nothing more than myth and legend in the modern world, but in ancient times they had walked the earth, and shaped much of it with claw, talon, and wing. They were neither good nor evil. They were animal, cunning and insightful in their own way, but not truly intelligent. Luna had long ago subdued them and guided them into the night sky, though some few remained on the earth outside of her reach. They did not eat material food, but rather stardust and solar wind and ambient magic. And so, Luna allowed those remainders to reside on the outside of the world, as they were generally no threat to mortal beings. But to be seen from Canterlot, Luna said, shaking her head, as they trotted away for several steps, the beer wings taking to the sky. Celestia and her sister joined her, as did the Pegasi guards that reached the rest of Impromptu Court. No stall beast but Draco could ever cruise so large, and that was a long time before. Luna's voice trailed off when she saw it. A small purple glowing spot in the distance, within the dark sea that was the Everfree Forest. For this distance it looked more than half an inch tall, for the remaining miles from Everfree. Luna did a quick math in her head. It's more than a quarter mile tall. Night came fast in winter Everfree. Even without leaves on them, the thick tree branches overhead served as an effective barrier from the sunlight, even before the stars appeared in the sky. The darkness wasn't the biggest problem, however. It was the cold. Within minutes of the darkness closing in around them, 3 of the 4 unicorns trotting through the Everfree were shivering and teeth chattering as temperatures plummeted. Only Lunamoon was unaffected. Why? Luna demanded of Lunamoon as the 4 tried. Magic keep, Lunamoon said, considering it. Her horn glowed as she removed it from herself and threw it around Twilight's neck, clasping it in place. Luna gasped at her sudden cold, but otherwise tried to ignore as best she could for now. It'll take a few minutes to kick in. Well, what about us? Trixie demanded. Her own keep was just a keep, and not a particularly warm one either. Lunamoon shook her head. I only have the one. We can share it. No, Sparkle said. She stopped, squinting as she looked around. The glows of the 4 unicorns' horns were the only thing allowing them to see, and not very well at that. We shouldn't be moving at night anyway. We'll make camp here. The other 3 agreed without complaint, mostly because camp was inseparably linked with fire, therefore warmth in their minds. Resolutely, they began gathering twigs and fallen branches, as well as a few stones, and within minutes had managed to create a crude but hopefully effective ring of stones and tinder to light the fire with. Twilight did the honors, horn glowing brightly and creating a small flame that quickly caught. Trixie was on that fire at the point, using logs she had found to create a triangular stand of wood, and rather than a simple pile that the other 3 had started with. She grinned as he did. Trixie, she said she'll be in charge of keeping us from freezing. I haven't gone camping in years. Twilight and Lunamoon both objected at the same time. In my world, it's summer, Sparkle added. Plus, I can just rent motel rooms. Lunamoon glanced at her. Hell! she asked. Your picture is circulating everywhere. I'm careful, Sparkle attempted. She scooted closer to the fire, then closed her eyes as air horn glowing. Around them, a field of violet energy manifested, gradually shaping itself into an infrared cone with a hole in the top. Twilight nodded her head once, and the four of them found themselves inside a shelter made from wood. A hole in the top allowed smoke from the fire to escape. Another small one served as an entrance to the shelter, covered with a thick curtain. Neat, Twilight noted, looking around peeking inside. This'll keep us warm. Oh, hang on. She began conjuring pillows around the shelter, enough for each of the four unicorns to lie on, as well as blankets. She was pitied by the effort, but smiling. I helped. Little Moon studied her own pillow for a few moments before nodding. Good job, she said. I want my cape back now. Twilight gave Little Moon a sidelong glance. Apparently, with her freezing at night having been avoided, the blue doppelganger of Trixie was back to her confidential self. She sighed as she took off the cape and hooked it back over. I have a scarf with the same enchantment, she noted, but, well, we were in a rush this morning. Little Moon started referencing the chaos earlier that day. Was that only this morning? She asked, rubbing her head with one hoof. Feels like much longer. This would be the chaos that got Trixie unfairly arrested, she asked. Little Moon glared at her. Yes, and missed me being in the middle of a crisis, thinking that all my friends had been brainwashed by Corona, and that all of Equestria was placed under her unknowing thrall. You were detained for only a few minutes. Wait, Sparkle interrupted before Trixie could respond. You thought that Corona had taken over? Really? You didn't? Wilma demanded. For a few minutes I expected, she said. She smiled. But when a calm, rational, stop stickering, a calm, rational examination of the situation showed me I was wrong. Little Moose shook her head. Coming face to face with the Tyrant Sun was putting you in a calm and rational mood. She shifted slightly. Stomach audibly growled. Zoot, I am hungry. We'll just have to go hungry tonight, Twilight said, as he settled down on cards of pillows under her blanket. We could look for food tomorrow. It might be winter, but there has to be something. And not pine cones, Trixie said quickly. Twilight blinked. I wasn't going to suggest we eat pine cones. Good! She closed her eyes as he poked to the fire magically, muttering under her breath. Never again. That meme was old. Well, I'm intrigued, Little Miss said as she settled down herself, taking off her hat and sitting beside her. Propping her head up on her front hose, staring at Trixie expectantly. I've seen some strange things in my time. I even had crawdad, even. Ew! Twilight and Sparkle both exclaimed, looking green. Meat? New Orleans is a city. Lilliman defended herself, blushing. Some ponies only like it, but only every now and then. Carnivore, Twilight accused. Ugh, I don't even. It's not like I eat anything with a hoof, Lilliman objected. And I'm sure you've had eggs. That's technically meat. And besides, we're not talking about me. We're talking about Trixie and pine cones. She looked at Trixie expectantly. I was looking pointedly into the fire, not answering. Twilight and Sparkle, however, continued to look at Little Moon. I hear griffins eat pigs, Sparkle said, and fish, and whales. Have you ever eaten a whale? Carnivore, Twilight hissed again. I am not a carnivore, and no, I've never eaten a whale. Have you ever eaten a pig? Sparkle asked. No, nothing with a hoof, remember. What about chickens? Trixie was curious, Trixie exclaimed suddenly. Twilight, Sparkle, and Little Moon all looked at her, and she was standing. Trixie was curious, so she ate a pine cone. It was awful, but Trixie ate the whole thing, because Trixie said she would, and so she did, and I regretted it for 2 whole days. She looked at Twilight Sparkle. Trixie has had crawdad, shrimp, and chocolate-covered ants, and once, when she performed in a town on the Equestrian Griffin border, she had sliced salmon. There was nothing wrong with that, because none of them had hooves. There was a pregnant silence. That's not healthy, Twilight said at length. She nimbly scooted closer to Sparkle and away from the 2 carnivores. We're herbivores. You shouldn't eat meat. It's not good for you. Well, neither is cake, Little Moon exclaimed. What's this made with eggs, by the way? Have you ever eaten chickens? Sparkle asked. She sounded honestly curious and challenging. Little Moon was not having any of it, however. Good night! Little Moon exclaimed, hunkering down and pulling her blanket over her head, creating a shield from the world, though muttering could be heard beneath it. Sparkle and Twilight looked at Trixie. No, Trixie has not, Trixie said, settling down herself. Good night. Sparkle stood there uncomfortably. You're not going to eat us? No! Trixie and Lulu both exclaimed. Lulu coming up from under her blanket shield to do so. Nothing with a hoof! Sorry, Sparkle both blinked at the twin exclamations and said in perfect unison. Sparkle and Lulu glared at the two other unicorns for several minutes before, without looking at each other, bumping hooves, and then pointedly settling down to go back to sleep. In Twilight, it seemed like she only had shut her eyes when the loudest, deepest roars she had ever heard suddenly cut through the night. She cried out and stood suddenly, the other unicorns standing up just as quickly. The glass of the fire seemed to be burning, though low at this point. They managed to get maybe an hour's shut-eye. This meant very little to them, however, as the roar was repeated a second time. Twilight and Sparkle set their horns glowing, dissipating in blankets, and the shelter being instructed for them. As Trixie and Little Moon stepped closer to the purple unicorns, their own horns glowing instinctive warning against whatever was coming. The ground shook, not a small tremor, but an impact was enough to rattle their legs and force the four unicorns to brace themselves. There was a sound of crunching trees, splintering wood, and what Twilight strongly suspected was the sound of the earth giving away to whatever impacted it. There was a second impact, and that was when the glow finally reached them. A bright purple light shined up like a second moon, with another earth-shattering impact. The four unicorns saw what was approaching. Before either could even think to run, the thing was upon them with a single step, glaring down at them. To call the Ursa Major the largest living thing that Twilight had ever seen would have been a gross understatement. Twilight had been seeing smaller castles. The sheer size of the creature approached them and paralyzed the unicorns as the Ursa Major leaned down, looking at them with glowing red eyes larger than houses, mouth hanging open, displaying fangs far bigger than a minotaur. A family of fully grown dragons could have fit comfortably inside its mouth, with room to spare. And Twilight looked up, and sitting on top of the Ursa Major's head, clapping her hooves together gleefully, was the pony that made her mission to kill the four of them. The accidental spawn of the element of magic. Her horn was glowing bright purple, magical cords reaching out from it and around the bear he had sat upon. I don't know why, the pony said gleefully as he stood. The Ursa Major began to rise as well. But this feels right. Ursa Major finished standing, cast back his head, the pony on top of it keeping her footing somehow, and roared, a sound that was felt more than heard, and riled the everfree forest for miles in every direction. And now we run, Trixie said before taking off into the forest. Twilight holding Gray Harley as she followed. Uh-oh,